Hi everyone, welcome to Hauler Time. My name is Amy and here is the after show to my last Temu haul. Stay tuned. All right, so got a little hair there. This is the after show to my last Temu video, and what that means is that I will be highlighting and doing things with the crafty items that I got in that episode. So if that's something you're interested in, we are happy to have you here, or I am happy to have you here. And it may, I don't know, I may be all over the place with this episode, but we'll see. But it got somewhat decent reviews after the first one I did, so I thought I'd give it another try. So before I start going deeper, doing a deeper dive into the craft items, I do want to share with you some treasure hunting finds that I came across in the last week. So I don't have too many, but I just wanted to show them. The first is this really pretty box. And I found this at a Goodwill, a regular Goodwill. I paid $2.83, and I think it used to have something up here, maybe like a handle, maybe, I don't know. But anyway, you flip this up and it's just a box on the inside. It still has the silica packet, so I feel like that means it maybe was never used. I don't know, but I just love the design, so I'll be using this to put crafting things in. So there was that, and then at that same Goodwill, I found this, and this is just a set of photo picture book, whatever, photo album. And I thought I could put certain kinds of ephemera or tags or stuff in this. I've got this binder right here that I got at a Goodwill outlet that is just a big photo album that I was using, but I thought maybe this would be a little bit easier to access. I don't know. So that's why I got that. And I already took the sticker off of this, so I don't remember how much this cost, but it originally came from Walmart. Does that sticker come off? I was like, there was packing tape on this to keep all of these together, and I had to be really careful to pull that off, but yeah, it looks like I might be able to get that off later. All right, and then to the bag. So when I mentioned this at the end of the Temu haul, but on last Friday, I was getting kind of anxious because we were supposed to be having bad weather come in, and we were expecting that it was going to start snowing Friday afternoon. And I was like, I gotta go out and do something. And I didn't want to just keep going to the same places, and so I wanted to go to a new antique place. And so we went across the river to Alton, and it was like raining. And I said this in the other video, but I don't typically wear my big coat when I go antiquing because everything can be so close together, and you don't want to accidentally knock something off and break it. So I was just wearing my black Temu sweater, and as we were driving over there, it starts raining a little bit harder, and I'm like, and we couldn't park close to the store. So by the time we get to the store, Jason and I are like drowned rats, and the store's closed. So then that's when we went over across the street, went to a restaurant and ate lunch and tried to warm up a little bit. But after that, we were driving to go home, and we went just a little bit further down the road and saw another. It's called the Brass Monkey and Collectibles or something like that. And so we stopped in there, and it was a tiny shop. You You can't tell how big it's going to be from the outside, but it was a tiny shop, but we found some really great stuff. So hang on, I'm going to grab it real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so this kind of made getting soaked worth it. So the first item, and my husband found this, he always finds the best stuff for me, but it was all of these pages of Norman Rockwell or Saturday Evening Post. I'm not sure. Does it say which one it is? Well, they're collector's cards. Now, these are not, actually, they probably are considered vintage at this point. Half of these are from 1993. The other half are from 1995, and it's the complete set from both of those years. And they're glossy, so let me take one out. I don't know if you'll be able to, yeah, see, they're kind of glossy, but I was like, how cute is that? So I'll flip through these so you can see a few more of them, but they're the old magazine covers. And there's about 90 cards in each set, and this is what they kind of look like on the back. Now, because I have the complete sets here, now I'm not going to feel like I can break these apart. And Jason's like, well, you bought them, you can do whatever you want with them. And I'm like, I know, but they're so cool, because I was originally thinking I would use these as ephemera in junk journals, right? But now I may just keep these for myself. But anyway, they're just, I said, well, how much are those? And you guys, this store was tiny, like the size of a living room, kind of tiny. So the fact that it had stuff like this in it, I was really surprised. And I don't know, I don't know how this shop gets their stuff, but it had a sticker thing hanging off that said $6. And I'm like, $6 per card or for the whole thing? And then we were like, it's got to be for the whole thing, right? Nobody would pay $6 for one card. And sure enough, it was $6 for this whole set. So I finally feel like I got one of those cool deals that I'm always seeing on Seven Plaza when she goes thrifting. Thrifting in Europe, I think, must be way better than thrifting here in America. And maybe that's because over here we've decided that junk is now worth something, and so we charge for it accordingly. And maybe they just don't do that yet in Europe. I don't know, but she's always getting cool stuff. So I finally feel like I got a really cool deal, or find even. I mean, I didn't even know something like this existed. And then the other, well, there's two other things here. A book. But first, let me show you this is silly, but I found an old map, and I couldn't find a year on it anywhere, but it's kind of aged. I mean, it's an old gas station map, but I really liked the colors used on this map. And this is Michigan, I think. Is that what it said? Well, North Central states. So I just really liked, and I have been looking for just maps, old maps. And I found a few in antique stores, but they wanted like $2 or $3 for them. And they weren't really even all that old. But this one looked a little bit older to me. And then the other side has some specific areas kind of blown up. But it wasn't marked, and the guy said, well, how about $1? And I said, yes, I can do $1. So then the other find, Currier and Ives, Printmakers to the American People by Harry T. Peters. So this book, and let me see if it's got the year on it. There are a couple of plates missing, meaning picture plates missing. Kind of right here, there would have been some. So, but isn't that great, that font and stuff? And this one was from MCM XLII. So 1942. So I can't scan it, although I'm going to do some research to see if these Currier and Ives, I think these images have to be older than 42. And it's got a list of all the illustrations and what plate number they are. But let me get to a... So some of the plates are colored. And they're great matte images. But again, the pictures are front to back. So I think if I were, well, see, here's my dilemma. In order to scan these just for personal use, if I can't find that these images are public domain, I still have to take the book apart, right? But there's already some pages cut out, so maybe that's okay. I don't know. It's like some people will be like, oh, you can't cut that book up, but what else do you do with it? Well, aside from admire it, I guess. But they have, I don't know, they just, it's nostalgia, right? And it's a lot like, okay, well, I didn't get a chance to look all the way through the book, so I didn't get to this one with Lincoln with his red lipstick. But I don't know, it's just so, but most of them are this yellow color, but every once in a while you get a full color. But how much did I pay for this? $6 again. So, and it originally, whoever was trying to sell it before had $17.50 on it. So maybe that person, I don't know, took out a couple of those pictures and then marked the price down. But yeah, I love this. So there's my treasure hunting haul from the last week. Okay, so Temu stuff. I realized after I ended that last video that there was one item that I forgot to show, and it was this. And it's a stencil, and so it's kind of a coffee tea stain stencil with just other stuff in the background. And let's see if I'm always supposed to look at my order before I end the video to make sure I showed everything, which I didn't. And I have to look this up by typing in sheep because it had that sheep placenta skincare in it, which was like the most unique thing in there to make it easy to find. All right, so this stencil, I paid $1.78, and it's still $1.78. And here's a better picture, although there would have been one at the end of the video. Okay, so I'm not gonna do anything. This one's huge, so this one could definitely, you could ink up a whole piece of paper with vintage photo or something like that. But anyway, I don't want to do anything with that in this. And then we got both of these. We might do something with this during this episode, but I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here. But again, I really like all of the images on these. Okay, what I do want to do something with is the die cuts. I want to actually use them so you can see what that looks like. And I want to talk about this. So a few of you may have seen a craft video that I did a week or so ago, but I pulled it down because it was disjointed. The sound was not matching up with my words, and I just, on the spur of the moment just deleted it from the site because I did not want people constantly saying, hey, it's not, you know, a good video. But during that video, I made this journal. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit because this, I think, is the journal we're just going to mess with these products that I get with. So what I did is these are printables that I got from Pink Monarch Prints. I subscribe to their monthly printable, you can't even call it a box because it's just a set of printables, but I subscribe to their monthly subscription, and this was from the November subscription. And they, on Etsy, if you go to Pink Monarch Prints, you can find this subscription from November. But anyway, what I did was I printed off a bunch of the full, oh, I don't want to show that. Hold on. That's got my address on it. So I printed off a bunch of the full sheet papers. And then what I did was I glued 2 sheets back to back. I folded them in half. So I folded them in half like this, and then you probably can't see, but I just glued them together. So aside from the front cover, which I did have to print front and back, and the back cover, all of the rest of these pages are doubled. And in some cases, I didn't completely glue it so that I could have a pocket like this. And I've got little cutouts so you can see them. So some of the pages I printed front and back, some of them I didn't, if I knew that the backs would get totally glued in. But like here, I printed the back side so that it would for the pockets. So if that's still kind of confusing to you, let me get a couple pieces of paper real quick. This is just basic copy paper. So we're gonna pretend, sorry, and I'm just doing this because I want you to know where this journal came from that we're gonna be using and how I made it, since I deleted the video for all time. So let's pretend we've got 2 pages of designer paper. So what you do is you fold it so that the designer paper part, or the design, is on the inside, and you can score it. So I used 65-pound paper. This is just cheap copy paper, but you can score it to make the folding easier. But you're just folding it in half so that the design is on the inside. And you do that and you can make however many pages you want in this journal. But so here we've got 2 designs in both, and what you do is you literally just glue this page to this page. So you glue them down so that then you've got this, which is why you can see on if this were the cover, you'd have to print on both sides. So, and then for most pages in my journal, these 2 pages are completely glued, the whole thing. But a few of them, I just glued around these edges and did a cutout so that I could have a pocket inside. And you could have done the same thing on the top, where you just glued down, around, and up, and left it so you could open and you could have slid things down inside. So that's all I did for this. And at the end, I ended up taking my black soot ink, and I just inked this up a little bit because it was cream colored. And so the cover ends up being the weakest part, really, of the binder. But once we start decorating it, it won't be that bad. But I also inked around the edges, you know, and it's better to ink before you glue. And again, inked around these edges for where, and also I rounded the corners with my corner rounder. So that's what you missed in that video. So now we've got this journal. Also, the beauty of this journal is it lays flat. So every page you open is flat until we start adding things to it. Now the thing that I pulled out of there was a Chewy ad. So whenever you get things like this in the mail, keep it, because you could use this. And I had this tucked into that pocket page, but I can't really show that because I didn't remember to take my address off of here. But actually, let's be smart about this, right? Let's just put something over my address. Oh, let me get a Post-it note maybe. Since we want this after show to be kind of part demo, part deeper dive. Okay, so I've covered up my address. So now what I'm going to do is, now this is not how this would end up in your journal, right? I'm going to have to cover this with papers and book pages, etc. But I'm going to take it and just slide it in here. So that then I've got this fold out, right? That you can fold out. And if you didn't have a pocket page, you would just take this and, say on this page, for example, glue it on the back of the page, and then you'd still have your fold out. So anyway, I put this in there thinking I would use this, but I don't need it for today. So today I want to make an update to this with this. When I was doing the haul, I was thinking about this and I was like, these kind of are similar to me. They feel similar. So I want to use this as the binding to this, just to add a little bit of flair or whatever. I didn't want a very big piece of lace on this because it's such a busy pattern here, and I want a lot of that to show, but I'm going to be covering it up with other things. So I decided that this width of lace was probably a good size because this center part of the lace kind of fits the binding, and then you just have a little bit on the side. So I thought we would glue this on together. I need to cut it first. And lace is kind of stretchy, but I don't think I want it to go beyond the like I don't want it to stick up over the edges. So I'm just going to cut this, probably not very well. And then we will use, because this is lace, I think we'll use some fabric tack to stick it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some fabric tack along this. And we will hope, I know a lot of people complain about fabric tack getting kind of stodgy and caked up, so we'll see. I've only used this once before. Oh, well, it seems to be coming out pretty well. I don't have to be too careful because I'm going to need some on the sides too, but let's just get a decent amount on all of this. And then I've got string of glue. So then I'm just going to, which side's the top? I want to put the part of the lace that I didn't cut on the top. I have a couple pieces of directional paper in here. Okay, this is the top. So we will use this part of the lace up at the top. And I'm just gonna, you guys can't see this, so I'm just sticking it down, making sure it comes all the way. So I'm gonna have to stretch it a little because I think my cutting skills were not very good. So just pushing this down, making sure that this center part is truly in the center. And yeah, I need to pull it down a little bit more down here at the bottom. Some people use art glitter glue for this and don't have any problems. I just decided since it's lace, I would try to go with the Fabri-Tac. So I've got the spine down, and you can see my cutting skills were awesome down here. But that's okay, it's a junk journal, right? So you don't need to be perfect, and you need to tell yourself if you're brand new to just jump in and do it. And you will learn as you go. And if you know, now that I've made this kind of not so great cutting job, I will figure something out better for the next time. Okay, so now I want to glue down these sides. Now, an important thing to think about when you're doing this is, would I have wanted a string to have been like bound inside of this to make a closure, or am I going to do something different for a closure? Well, I haven't thought that far ahead, so I of course am not putting anything underneath this, any kind of ribbon, so we will not be doing that kind of a closure. So I'm just going to add some more glue. Those are the kind of things that you want to think about. And again, if you goof up sometime, you will remember that for the next time, and you'll also decide if it even matters, right? All right, so again, I'm trying to push this down but stretch kind of at the same time. And I'm gonna set this down. I know you guys can't see this, but I need to have a flat surface to push on. All right, and I don't know, like art glitter glue dries pretty fast. I don't know how fast the Fabri-Tac dries, but I think that looks okay. And I'll trim this at the end. But it looks fairly even. So if you're kind of OCD like me, you do get a little bit of wiggle room with this Fabri-Tac that you can kind of move things around, but that looks pretty even with that line, I think. So now I'm going to do the other side. This may be the only way I get time to do crafting is with you guys on these after shows. Actually, I think I said that probably on the last one. But yeah, I at least with the way work is right now, I don't foresee having much free time until I can get a handle on everything. All right, so I'm just pushing this side down and kind of stretching it out like I did with the other. It's like there's a lot of, well, not maybe a lot of glue, but there's a lot of glue on there, but yet it's still very malleable. So again, just kind of trying to make it sort of as straight as possible so that as we're doing additional decorations later, it will not interfere. And keep in mind, your fingers get really sticky with this Fabri-Tac. Also keep in mind you should put the lid back on as soon as you're done using it. But you will, especially with lace like this that has holes, you will get some on your fingers. So just be aware of what else you're touching on your journal at the same time. All right, so that's not much, but let's cut off this little piece here. But it's using the supplies that we bought from Temu in a real way. And doesn't that look cute? It's like just perfect for this particular size journal. All right, so there is that. And then I want to use this on this journal, but I want to use it as a tab to pull something out, and I don't have anything for that yet. So we won't be, I think, using this today. But again, these would be really easy to separate, you know, to cut these separators. And what I was thinking is I will just cut off two and then glue them to a tag or a piece of paper, and it'll be like, you can do that with this too, right? You could just take some and fold it and put it up. But I like this because it's a defined shape. So we'll see that in the future. So there's a couple other things that I want to do with you guys. And I know I already said earlier I wanted to use the dies. I'm going to use the dies. But I want to do a deeper dive into this 200 pad of paper. I'm not going to go through every page, but you couldn't really see a lot in that last video because of where this vellum wrap is. And we're going to keep this vellum wrap because I am going to try to do something with this in this video. So I'll just stick this right there. So, and then we'll just look through a few of these full pages. Oh, well, look at me. I picked a blank one. So let's go. Oh, so are these front and back? Oh, I was looking at the back. So this is the front. So we saw, I think in the other after show, I got some papers that were kind of similar to these. Ooh, that one's really pretty. Green with, well, it's black ink. Kind of looks a little purple on the screen. But I love how they are a lot of these are foreign, European. So this one, well, maybe not. I was going to say, I'm trying to think of something out of these that I could use with this journal and maybe use for one of the pockets. But I'd have to glue two of them together, which is okay. But these are thin like copy paper. But of course, once you glue a couple of them together, this one looks like the other one that I stopped on. So maybe there's only 100 images and then they repeat. Yeah, that does look like the other one. But I like how you're getting lots of different colors to hopefully go with whatever, so you can find something to go with the theme you're looking for. Oh, I like that one. Okay, I'm going to tear this one out. Actually, let me look. So is this kind of, I want to see if this kind of goes with the color schemes. Yeah, I think that looks okay. So I'm going to tear this one out. Maybe I will create although I like this one too. But I think the other pages have more red in them, so that's a cool one. that go with that? A little bit. Off camera, I will pick something to glue to the back of this. But yeah, so this one was the receipts one. That one's kind of cool. So when I get to my off-camera point, because I'm going to have to go off camera to do the die cutting, so I will do something with this too, and then we will use it as the insert in one of those journal pockets. So that is this. Now, we had another one of similar to these in the last one, and what did I do with it? Oh, right here. I cut off the sticky parts. And this is a Temu binder that I got with these papers, and I told you guys I was going to do a project with this, so part of it I need this for that. So what I'm going to do, and I'll do this off camera too, is I am going to glue this in as a pocket here, and then I'll use the other one and glue it in down here as a pocket. Well, I don't know. Somewhere along here, these will be pockets, very shallow pockets that very shallow or very small ephemera will go in. So I'm going to do that off camera and come back and show you what that looks like. And then I'm going to also use these. Now I have a set of papers from this printable set that the journal came from, and I found these two in it, so I think I'm going to try to use these two, but I may use some of these others, so you'll see. But okay, so I think I'm at a point now where I can pause and cut these things out real quick and come right back. Okay, I thought I'd break in just in case some of you have never gotten die. You have to have a die cutting machine, which I've got an old, I can't remember what the brand is, but it's old. But lots of places sell these. But if you ever get ones like this, these things are meant to be broken in between. They're just for space saving when it's being packaged, but you want all of these pieces to be, and these are super thin, so be careful. But you do need to break these off to get all your separate pieces. So I just wanted to come in and show you that. All right, so I got these glued on to this with my art glitter glue. I just simply glued just right along the edges of each of these, and because they had some creases from where they were folded around the paper, I tried to kind of just bend that the other direction to get them straight. But then the idea is, if you have small ephemera pieces that you're afraid to lose, or that you want to be able to see easily for when you're trying to plan, then you could put them in there. And I have I have plain vellum paper, which I'll probably use on other pages in the book, but this is kind of the idea, because this is how, so over in Europe, they seem to be able to find these albums, like old postage stamp albums in thrift stores, and this is basically what it is. Now, you may not want to display it, where you can see every single little thing, but you can add, a lot in here. And I have heard, though, that vellum can sometimes tear, I guess. So just be careful. But yeah, so that's what this whole binder is going to become. But today we're just using these because we harvested these off of the paper packs that we've been getting from Temu. And then these are stamps and ephemera from Temu, and the binder from Temu. All right, so there was that. And I had a little bit of a catastrophe because I couldn't, when I went to pull the pin out of my art glitter glue, the bead came off of the pin, so I had to undo. And luckily, I don't know if I hauled these on here or not, but I have a whole thing of stainless steel pins because you want stainless steel so it doesn't rust. So anyway, got taken care of. And then I did get all of these bulldog die cuts cut out, and I have a Cuttlebug is what it was, an old one that I found in a Goodwill for $8. So these everything cut out well from the Temu die cuts. And then I went back and I put back the paper that I'd picked out, and I picked out this one because I decided I wanted one that was landscape. So I picked this one out and I glued it onto the back of a piece of paper from this kit, and I rounded the corners, and we're going to ink it up and then put a tab on it and put it in our journal. And I've got kind of this, I picked a kind of a solid color on the back so that people could use it as a journaling card. So I'm just using vintage photo to go around. Some people aren't into vintagey style, but I kind of like that style. So I like to kind of age up my stuff when I'm, at least it seems to make sense with this kind of a journal. There may come a point in time where I do a different style and you'd want kind of non-inked. But anyway, you can't see, but it's getting kind of the edges, right? And you want to maybe give a little bit more love to the corners. Wherever you think people would be handling it more, if it had been vintage. And sometimes this can get kind of tedious to do, so a lot of times I will do this while watching TV or my favorite YouTube channels. All right, and then I always make sure to do the same thing on the back side, which shows up a lot better, or is showing up a lot better. And sometimes as you're doing this, it kind of creases the paper up, but that's okay, because again, in this particular instance, we're looking for vintagey kind of stuff. And if you, because I glued this down to this, if I hadn't cut well, then ink covers a lot of those problems. Okay, so I've got this all inked up, and let me put my lid back on. And then we're just going to pick a tab. I thought about using one of the Bulldog tabs, but it sticks out. I mean, unless it sticks out pretty far, and I think I'd prefer to save these for something that's top loading, which I don't have for this journal. So I am probably, these two tabs came with the library card kit, which I did print this, or I did cut this out, but I'm not going to do anything with that in this showing. So let's just, my choices, these are my two choices. So I could go like this. Well, yeah, or I could go like this. And I'm picking the solid color instead of the this one because I feel like it'll stand out better. So I think I'll go with this because the hole for the pocket is kind of rounded and this would kind of sort of match that. But before we glue, we want to ink this up too. And yeah, so then we will have accomplished something today, right? We will have put a lace binding on the journal and created a journal card. I don't need to ink the inside since this is going to be glued together. So I'm just going to get my glitter glue. A tab, since it's going to be all stuck together, you don't have to be too particular about getting in the corners and that kind of thing. And I'm not even going to measure where the center of this paper is. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. So I'm going about this far down. Just going to push it together. And again, the art glitter glue dries pretty fast. And again, both of these pages, well, this page from the Temu book was super thin, and I think that this page that I had from the kit was also on copier paper. So it's kind of curled a bit, but I think when it's in the journal for a while, it'll flatten out maybe. Of course, you can see I probably should like keep a heavy book on top of this. But anyway, we're gonna, okay, so here's something. So once you have your binding on, you may find that you need to kind of flatten it back down again. But it should be pretty flexible since it's lace. All right. So I think we're just gonna pick at random. We're just going to stick this in here like that. It sticks out a little bit, which is fine. We'll have multiple things sticking out of this over time. And then I really need to like put a post-it on here. Which side is up? Okay, this side is up. So then when your user wants to do something, they can just pull this out, stick it back in, and there's actually room for a bunch more stuff in here. This is actually a really big folder. But yeah, so there we have it. And I will probably, at some point, I want to do something more to this than just this. I mean, this is really plain, but it can be as basic as this if you want, right? If you're new and you're just starting, this is totally fine. But at some point I will probably decorate it with more things. All right, you guys, so that brings us, ooh, I gotta put my pin back in my glue because that stuff dries super fast. But yeah, so I hope you guys liked this episode of the after show, and we actually used some of the things that we got, which is a big complaint some people have about watching these kind of videos. You never use what you buy. Okay, so I'm gonna try to use some. So anyway, I guess maybe should I do this as my thumbnail? Some of the things that we made together. I'm like, all right. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking, giving me a thumbs up. And thank you for coming back in the future, I hope. So wherever you are, whenever you are, I hope you're having a great day. And until we meet again, take care of yourself. Bye.